This segment of Labatt Buffalo Main Event is brought to you by
Kaz Electronics, your gadget source with referral rewards.
And we are back on Labatt Buffalo Main Event. Brad Ryder along with Bob Gaughan, and we are joined this week from the Buffalo News. Bucky Gleason, kind enough to sit down with us. And Bucky's scary incident, obviously scary and freaky and weird incident in the Buffalo Sabres game with Richard Zednick having his throat cut by a skate. What went through your mind, and how did you view it? What did you think?
Well, I watched it from home like everybody else did, and I think the first thing you're thinking is fear. It's pretty obvious that he's cut his jugular, judging by the amount of blood on the ice. So, you're worried for the guy. You're wondering what's going to happen from here. What's going to transpire in the next 2 minutes that could potentially save this guy's life? I mean, that's scary. When it happened with Clint Malarchuk, I believe in 1989, it was scary. It was no less scary watching Richard Zednick. The amazing thing to me, really, was that
skating,
that he had skated off the ice on his own and understood what the situation was, had his hockey glove up to his neck, and probably did himself more good in the first 30 seconds of what happened than anybody else could have done for him. So it's a scary moment. Rob Ray, after the game, said, "I'm surprised it doesn't happen more often," and that's really the first thing that I had thought too. There are so many close calls in hockey. I'm surprised it doesn't happen more often.
It's the reason, I think, and I hadn't thought of this before, but I've always thought it's kind of a stupid rule about you can't kick the puck into the net. But I heard Gary Bettman maybe a year or so ago say, there are people down there and there are exposed body parts down there, and it's to avoid injury. That's the whole point. That's why you can direct a puck in with your foot as long as you're not making a kicking motion, and you see something like that and it reminds you that, okay, I guess this does make sense.
Well, that's exactly the reason, too. And, you see a lot of these guys. Now, you have to wear neck guards in youth hockey and in high school hockey, but not in major Division I college, I don't think, or anywhere else above that. It becomes a choice issue. Now, would that have prevented that? Probably not. I mean, if you catch the corner of a skate, but it may have helped. And if you catch a skate right on the middle side of the blade, and you have it's gonna help prevent a cut. So it's not going to always prevent injury, but I think that they have to take another look at that and see, look, the protection's there. That's why goalies have it.
Were you surprised that the game continued? I wouldn't have been shocked if they called it at that point. Or
no, I wouldn't have either, and I would not have had a problem if they called the game either. I don't know if there's really a good way to finish it. I think you go to both teams and you say, what do you want to do at that point?
I think they
did. The game becomes secondary. What was the score? 5-3, right?
Yes.
I mean, who cares?
Won. Oh,
yeah,
I do.
right.
2 points. The standings are looking better after really. I mean, it's been a good couple of weeks for the Sabres team, and as weird as it is to talk about that as a hockey game, they got their 2 points like they've been doing most nights lately, and things are kind of coming around for this team.
Right. Well, it's certainly an incident like that certainly snaps things back into place for sure. But they're pros and they understand that. And they have to find a way to get through the game. I think Lindy Ruff huddled them up immediately after the incident and said, this is kind of your job to see how you handle this. It's going to be up to you to get through it, and how you do it is really up to them. He really, I think, had the whole thing in perspective immediately and handled it with the class that he has.
You wrote an article recently critical of Tom Golisano. Can you tell me your thoughts on the Sabres' upper management? Does Regeer deserve a pass? Quinn Golisano, what are your thoughts on Quinn Golisano?
I think that they need to let Darcy do his job. He's there for hockey purposes. He's a personnel guy, and I think that they have gotten in the way of him doing his job. Last year, the way that I understand it, he had a deal done with Chris Drury, 4 years, $21.5 million. It was done. It goes back up through upper management, and it never is signed. That's why the guy's gone. So they never really made any strong effort to sign Danny Briere. I would think that Darcy would have been more aggressive had he known that upper management wanted to keep him. Now, you have to, those guys, Tom Golisano's a businessman. He's not a hockey man. And hockey's a different business than the paychecks business that he owns. So he needs to let the hockey people handle the hockey stuff, and and contribute as an owner should in whatever way that he can. So Yeah, I think upper management's been a problem. I think it's been an obstacle for.
Do you think that he is interfering as far as hockey is concerned? Do you think that he even views hockey as a part of his job as the owner, or is it the kind of thing where he just has to give the okay to everything, and when you have to take so many steps to make a move, the next thing you know, Drury walks away from a contract, for example?
No, I don't think that he's meddling, so to speak, but I don't think that he understands the way that the business goes. He disagrees, that the salary cap is going up. He thinks it should be in one place. Well, it isn't. And the nature of the beast is, and the trends are, guys are signing longer-term contracts. Guys are signing before the last year of their contract. The Sabres would never negotiate with a guy in the last year of his contract. Well, to me, that's foolish. If you need foresight, it takes sometimes a businessman to see what's going on. He understands trends in the business world. You need to understand it sometimes in the hockey world and react a little bit quicker than what they have, or in their case, there's really been no reaction at all, because now they're going through it again with Brian Campbell.
Speaking of Brian Campbell, the trade deadline is coming up just a few weeks away. Is Brian Campbell going to be a Buffalo Sabre 3 weeks from now or not?
I don't think so. I think that there's a long shot that they're going to sign him, and I think if once they realize that the money out there, look, they could have had the guy for 5 years, $25 million over the summer. They rejected it. He went back and played hockey. Now he may have priced himself right out of this market. And he might get to a spot where I wouldn't even sign him either at this point. They could have had him. They didn't react. So I think they're going to pay a price for it. Now, it's not all bad. This is a team that drafts and develops if they're going to stay competitive. So I think he's going to get you a few picks and a few prospects.
When somebody signs him for 5 years at $35 million, are they getting a good deal or a bad deal? It seems to me like he's the kind of player you want, but once the price reaches that point, it's almost like Briere was, where I knew the money was going to be too big, and he had priced himself out of the market, and that actually made sense to me. I couldn't get mad at the team. You wish they would have done something sooner, but is the team getting a good deal at $7 million a year for Brian Campbell?
I don't think so. I don't think I would pay him that, and I would not have paid Drury what he's making or Briere what he's making. My point is, though, is that you could have had him a lot cheaper, and then you set your own market when you do that. Chris Drury's making a little over $5 million a year, and you're aggressive with Thomas Vanek. You go to Vanek and say, there's Chris Drury. Now, he's making $5 million a year. I don't think that you're going to be making more than him in Buffalo. If somebody takes a run at him, then you have an option to take the draft picks that come along with that as a restricted free agent, and you move forward.
Bucky Gleason of the Buffalo News joining us. I'm Brad Ryder along with Bob Gaughan. Back in just a moment to close things out with a commentary here on Labatt Buffalo Main Event.
It's so normal to feel this overwhelming pressure to just have to do it all. We understand what that's like. Bristol Home and Bristol Village and any other residents that's out there will tell you we see it every day, day in and day out. Families come in, and usually it's at that point where they say, we just don't know what to do anymore. So think about it. Don't feel as though you're alone, and ask for help. Early intervention is key. Planning ahead is key.
Bristol Home and Bristol Village. Assisted living where family matters.